No. Yeah.
Long
Long-time
time,
caller,
long.
first-time listener.
Where'd you get that from?
I made that up.
You did not.
I did
You
too.
did not.
I did too.
They used to say it in Chicago all the time.
No, no one's ever said that. They say first-time caller, long-time listener.
And what do you say?
Long-time caller, first-time listener.
I
Because I don't care what
I
anyone else has to say.
We've noticed that.
I'm just talking for myself.
We've noticed that. But if you don't have an audience, Tom, that's exactly what we're doing. So Tom was gracious enough to come on over because we're testing some new camera equipment. It's called Mevo, M-E-V-O, and we're trying to get different angles before we go on the air Friday at noon on our regular show. So, okay, so that just switched to a close-up of me.
Yes, it did.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about, of course, the big game on Sunday. And if you have something to say, certainly we might be able to see. I don't know. We're testing this camera, so I don't know if we'll see your comments or not. But one of the things that we've been talking about is sports wagering for beginners, really, because we live here in Las Vegas, and we assume stupidly that everybody knows about sports betting and what you mean when you say the line, the spread, the over and under. But in reality, people don't know, and we've had to explain the spread many, many times, so we're going to do it just one more time. Just one more time. So the Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 1 point over
1.5 in other places.
1.5. Some places, yeah, and every casino,
Yes.
every sports book is different. And even the mobile ones are even different. But it's around 1 point, saying that the bookmakers think that the Chiefs are going to score 1 point more or 2 points more than the 49ers.
Now, this is a question that I have when you're talking about a 1-point game.
Yeah.
This is the Super Bowl. It's not going to end in a tie. They're going to keep playing until somebody wins.
That's funny you should bring
All
that
right.
up.
So if it's a tie at the end of regulation, it's going to be either a field goal, a 3-point game, or a 6-point game.
That's correct.
All right. So if you've got plus
No,
one,
it could also be a 2-point game.
it could be a 2-point
Safety.
game. It could be a safety. But in any event, I've never understood a 1-point deal. Just tap. You don't even have. Yeah. Okay. I've never understood a 1-point a team to be favored or by 1 point, because for the most part you're not going to ever find yourself in that situation, and it's almost a push right from the start to me.
Well, there's over 400 propositional bets, and one of them would be that it goes into overtime, which is plus 800. So what that means is that if you bet $100, it's basically an 8-to-1. You'll bet 800 on a $100 bet. Just like a safety bet, which I bet every year, and three years I won the safety bet. And when I bet it at first time, it was 30-to-1, and then the second year it was 15-to-1, and so now it's just 6-to-1 on there being a safety, which is the other team getting caught in their own end zone. Very simply, the over and under is just the total points of the game. They're saying it's 54.5 total points in the game. Of course, you can't score a half a point. That's called a hook. That it's got to go one way or the other. But getting back to the spread, if it was +3 or -3, the other team, in order for you to win your bet, you have to cover. The other team would have to normally win by 4, which usually it's a -3, not a -1. The other thing that you could bet the money line, which is strictly just win or lose, and takes away that 1 point edge that gives the book that 1 point edge.
See, now in this instance, I would suggest betting the money line, because with the point spread at 1, there's really not a lot of difference there. And you can, if you think the Chiefs are going to win and you're willing to give up the 1 or 1.5 points, bet the money line. You're going to get better odds usually, and you don't have to deal with any points. So that helps a lot.
Well, prop bets, believe it or not, make up 60% of the Super Bowl sports wagering, at least across the street at the Westgate Sportsbook.
And a prop
60%.
bet, I don't know if you described this or not. A prop bet is simply betting on one element that may or may not happen through the course of the game. It has nothing to do with the outcome of the game, nothing to do with who wins or who loses. It's just who's going to win the coin toss at the beginning of the game. Is there going to be a safety scored? Is the first score going to be a field goal or a touchdown pass or a touchdown run? Yep. All of those things are what the prop bets are. The largest belch on the sideline, you can bet on that too.
I didn't see that one.
I'm sure you can bet on it.
I didn't see that. But will there be overtime? Yes, is again plus 800. Will quarterback Patrick Mahomes' passing yards be over or under 308.5? We talked about that last Friday, and we thought that there's a pretty good chance he's going to go over 308 yards. The props for the Chiefs quarterback are 25.5 completions, 37.5 attempts, and again 308.5 passing yards. Things like who's going to have more fumbles lost by the Chiefs or the 49ers? Will there be a 2-point conversion? That's another propositional bet. Heads or tails? That's another propositional bet. So Chris Andrews saying that we are live on our.
So you are getting your comments as well. So that's.
I don't. Thing. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, we've been getting them. So there they go. The other thing we have to remember is this is not the camera. That's the camera.
Yes.
So we're all staring.
I know.
At
We're
the
looking
phone,
at that.
So I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can't see it anymore.
I know. We're practicing
into the camera rather than at the phone.
We're practicing what's going on. I think Jeffrey with the G's bets were the largest lead, that he thought the Chiefs will have the largest lead or not. He does not think that they'll be leading by 14.5 points. He thought that's a big number in the Super Bowl game, and that's a propositional bet. Overtime, we talked about whether they'll win by 3 points or 6 points. You can bet that. But very simply, you can bet win or lose. It's called a money line bet. So when you get to the window, that's what you want to say. You want to say the money line bet and however much you're going to bet on the Chiefs or on the 49ers.
And here's something I would also suggest, and I'm a new bettor myself here in town. I've never done much of this before. But always check your ticket before you leave the window.
Yes.
Because last week, I had Kansas City -7. And I was so excited to go into the casino the other day and turn that thing in and roll it all over again onto the Chiefs, only to find out the guy had given me the wrong ticket.
Oh, really?
Yes, he gave me the like 5.5 under, and I was like, who would make that bet on that game?
Yeah.
But there was nothing I could do because it was my responsibility to check it. So I lost my bet. Instead of walking away with a couple $100, I lost.
Well, so it's always count your money like the king
yes,
in the song before you leave the
your
table.
Ticket before you leave the window, and be sure that the ticket says what you said it. What your bet is.
Yeah. I used to play roulette back before I even lived here, and I would cocktail it pretty good. And one time on roulette, my number came up. My number 36 came up 5 times in an hour. And so they tried to put a cooler dealer on me, and I said, color me out. And they thought that I was drunk, and they tried to give me 1s instead of 100s.
Ooh.
And I caught them, and the chips were all still on the table, so I started waving my arms, and pit boss came over and said, what's the matter? I said, well, your dealer tried to cheat me. He said, well, it's a human error. I said, well, how many times a night did you do the human error? She thought I was drunk, and what are you going to do for me? He said, well, it's a human error. I said, no, what are you going to do for me? And they wound up comping my whole vacation.
There you go.
And this was at the Hard Rock, which is only open for 3 more days. Before it becomes Virgin, the only Virgin in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So talk for a minute, because I'm going to go over to the computer and see what's going on.
All right.
Because Chris is telling me to go look at the computer and see what's happening.
Well, in that case, let me change.
I know you like to talk,
here.
so go ahead. Take it for a minute.
In my mind, as far as who's going to win or lose this game, I expect it to be a really tight game and a really, really well-played game. I am leaning towards Kansas City simply because I think this is going to be the Patrick Mahomes day. Now, you might say that the San Francisco defense is going to give him fits. They certainly have a great pass rush. And if Kansas City can control the San Francisco pass rush, in my mind, game over. Kansas City wins this game. I don't expect them to be able to do that. I do believe, however, that if they get in a situation where that pocket breaks down and they force Mahomes out of the pocket, they are forcing him into the thing that he does best, and that's throw on the run. He does it better than anyone else in the league. Consequently, I don't see a way that San Francisco is going to be able to stop him. And they may stop the running game and contain that. And people are underestimating Kansas City's running game anyway. Damian Williams is a really, really fine running back. They don't have the running game that San Francisco has. And the big question the other way is, will Kansas City be able to stop the San Francisco running attack? So time will tell. But in my opinion, I am leaning very, very definitely toward Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm taking
minus
KC.
1.5.
Now do we have to do something? What's cool is we're live. We're live on our website.
Oh, excellent.
If you go to vegasnonstop.com, we're live. Yeah, I like it, Chris. But it didn't look like it was live motion. It looked like you had to touch it to get it to play. So it was like from the beginning.
I found that true most of my
You have
life.
to touch it in order to get it to play. So was that part of Tom's tirade? What you were just saying, was that your tirade?
No. As a matter of fact, my tirade was about the Hall of Fame induction.
Oh,
So
well, what was your beef about that? Oh, you started
it's-
talking about that on the air last
it
week.
was simple. They did this thing. It's the Hall of Fame centennial year. So because the league started in 1920, the Hall of Fame started in 1963. So consequently, there was a backlog of guys between 1920 and 1963 that deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Okay. However, in the Hall recognized that. So after the first decade, essentially, they realized that there were a lot of guys left behind. So they formed what they call the Senior Committee. And the Senior Committee from 72 to 2004 selected one inductee from days gone by into the Hall of Fame. From 2005 to present day, they select two, okay, which means that the Senior Committee has inducted 64 players since its inception, all of them that have lost their Hall of Fame eligibility, which happens after 15 years. In addition, the first 10 years of the Hall of Fame, their regular induction included all of those guys. So in the centennial year, which is the 100th anniversary, which is this year, they wanted to go back and be able to bring in the guys that have slipped through the cracks. The guys like Randy Gradishar for the Denver Broncos. He had over 2,000 tackles in his career. All right, played in the 70s and 80s. Isn't in the Hall of Fame. Cliff Branch, wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders, played in the 70s. Isn't in the Hall of Fame. Tommy
Here's
Novus.
my favorite, Bronco Nagurski.
He's already in the. He was in the he was in the inaugural class. Was Bronco Nagurski. He played in the 20s as well. So instead of going back to those players that have slipped through the cracks, they went all the way back to the beginning and they tried to induct 2 players from each decade to fill out the 15. So there are 4 guys that are going into the Hall of Fame that are dead, that played in 1922, 1931, 1938, and in like just pre-World War II in 1940. In my mind, those guys have had their chance. They've had 56 years they've been eligible for the Hall of Fame and haven't made it in. There have been 124 seniors inducted into the Hall of Fame, and they haven't been inducted in. To me, if you haven't been inducted after 56 years, you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. They should have used those spots for the guys from the 70s and 80s that have strong resumes, video representation, and excellent careers. Guys that were all decade players, like Randy Gradishar, like Cliff Branch, Drew Pearson, Tommy Novus. Those guys are the ones, Roger Craig. Those are the guys that they should have used those spots on, and they didn't.
So now look at this on our little.
I don't know how. Well, okay.
Well, now because I've been pushing the 6 buttons, it's got a close up on you, which is still on.
Right.
And then if I touch that
Now,
one,
if I go here,
no, well,
now you're
now
on.
it's on close up on me.
You should be a close up on you.
Yeah, and then if we,
A
then
group-
we've got two
How did you do that?
shots. I just pushed the little thing with the 6 guys on it. So maybe we have to be in live mode in order to do it. That's the
All
only
right,
thing I
so
can think of.
let's
So
figure-
then that goes back to the 2
Let's
shot.
try this here, and then we'll go
Yeah.
like that. Okay,
And
but
there you
that's
go. There you go. It's got a close up on me, a close up
Right.
of you, and a 2 shot.
and can we go to a close up on me on air?
Yeah.
Yes,
and
we
it
can.
stays on you.
So
So
I don't
pretty
know
cool.
what you just did, but
I don't know either.
we fixed it.
I don't know. I don't know that we fixed it. I don't know that anything is fixed. But make sure and tune in again. Friday we're on live 12 noon on Facebook Live, and I guess now we'll be on YouTube and on our website at vegasnonstop.com. We haven't figured out Instagram TV yet, IGTV, but we're working on that. And of course we're on 9:20 a.m. Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Here in Las Vegas, 9:20 a.m. And you can find us on iHeartRadio, iTunes Radio, Google Play, Spotify, and all kinds of places. So we're just sitting here playing around with this new camera, and I hope that we helped explain sports wagering a little bit. And I just like saying Bronco Nagurski. The other guy that I always think about is Grabowski. because that was the Bears were nicknamed the Grabowskis
Oh, really?
because of the one player that was the Grabowski.
Yeah, the inaugural Hall of Fame, as far as players, included Bronco Nagurski, Red Grange, Jim Thorpe, legendary guys that started the league.
Yeah.
Jim Thorpe was actually the first president of the American Professional Football Association, which started in 1920 and became the NFL in 22.
Is there another league?
There is the X.
What is that all
The
about?
WWE X League is starting next month, next couple of weeks. It's just another league that they're trying to get off the ground. He did it once about 15 years ago.
Who is it?
The XFL, that's what it's
Is
called.
it Dana White? Or
No, it's
who is it?
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon. Well,
Yeah.
that was close. Same.
Yeah.
Um,
And he did it about 15, 20
do we have a
years ago.
Vegas team?
No, we did originally.
So how many? What?
But now we have the Raiders, so they're not bringing the XFL here. So,
Well, our friend Vince Neal had the team last time it was here, and Jim Fossil, Coach Jim Fossil, had a team, and it's been tried over and over.
Yep.
Mike Ditka had a team in Chicago.
and we just, of course, had the AAF, which started last season and made it for 6 games before it folded.
Yeah, and they just shut it down.
And the thing is, if you're trying to compete with the NFL, you're going to fail. Simple as that. And the XFL, I'll tell you, I'm very hesitant to watch it because the guys that are in the XFL are the guys that were been cut from the NFL. It's not like the back in the day with the World Football League where they were competing for players and they got NFL players to come over and play for them, by giving them huge contracts and all of that stuff. Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Larry Zonka, all those guys played in the USFL or the World Football League. And none of those things are available now. None of them are happening. They're trying to make a viable league, and they're doing it off season, which is good. They're going to give you something else to look at, which is good. But they got to find guys that nobody knows. Cardell Jones is a quarterback in the XFL, and I suffered watching him for the Chargers for the last 2.5 years. And the guy cannot play quarterback in the NFL. He can't play quarterback, period. So why they think this is going to be a draw, I don't know.
Is Philip Rivers staying with the Chargers?
I don't think so.
Where do you
I don't
think he's
so.
going?
I think he's going to retire.
Ah.
He should, because I think the game has passed him by. I mean, if you put him in a solid pocket and he just throw, he's great. The second that pocket breaks down, boom, forget it, play's over. He's throwing it at somebody's feet. He's getting sacked. He's running out of bounds. He's just done. He's 38 years old. It's time for him to go, watch his 9 children grow up.
You think Eli Manning's going to go
He already retired.
to the Hall of Fame? No, I know
Oh,
that.
to the Hall of Fame? He doesn't make it for me, and I heard a great thing on the TV the other day. Someone said, "Well, look at Joe Montana, Tom Brady, who's going to be
Tom
in the
Brady's
Hall of
another topic.
Okay.
Because there's
Yes.
scuttlebutt that he's going
But
to be
look
coming
at,
here for
let's
the
say
Raiders.
Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Dan Fouts, Steve Young, that are already in the Hall of Fame. Is Eli Manning one of those guys? I would say no. He's got the 2 Super Bowls, but
He's
he
been to
hasn't
2
done anything
Super
else.
Bowls. I think he was regarded as one of the elite quarterbacks. I could be wrong, but look, he was in the shadow of his brother for
Yes.
forever. I mean,
And his brother. Okay, is he his brother?
no.
There
Is
you
he his
go.
father? No.
Yeah, could be.
Well, maybe.
His father wasn't very successful, so
Archie
No.
didn't play a lot of.
he was a really good quarterback on a really, really bad team, and consequently, I looked up his numbers once, and they were totally pedestrian.
Well,
So-
anyway, tune in Friday, 12 noon on any of those places because I think we're going to be on all at the same time now. I think we've got this almost figured out, you guys. We're very, very close. So like us and share us and share us and like us and make sure and tune in Friday, 12 noon somewhere on social media or at the website Vegas Nonstop, and then Saturday morning, 8 a.m. on 9:20 a.m. The Game. Jonathan Scott with Tom White, as always saying, eat well and party hard, my friends. How do we shut it off? And